All right, welcome back, guys. So on deck today is going to be another 10mm video. We'll be doing a redo of the Spear 200 grain factory gold dot. In the last video, we tested the factory loading, which I'll link down in the description below. And we had a mixed bag of results. Not bad performance, but I think there was room for improvement. Now, for whatever reason, in speaking with the Spear reps at SHOT Show, they said in testing the round was doing about, I think, 1,130 feet per second was roughly what they were getting. But the factory loading that's available on the shelves is coming up quite a bit under that, and I'm not sure why. So I personally think that the 1,130-ish feet per second range is a good velocity for 200 grain hollow points for 10mm. So what I did is I went ahead and pulled the bullets from the factory loadings, reloaded with my own powder. I use the same loading as I use for my 200 grain nozzlers. I know that the Spear bullet is a little bit longer than the nozzler, so we'll see how that affects things, but I don't think we're going to be getting in any unsafe pressure levels or anything. We'll just see how it affects the velocity swings. But hopefully we'll be around 1,135-ish feet per second or so. And also, we're also going to throw the 6-inch barrel on there, so I know guys are going to want to see what happens if we juice it up even more. So rather than try to develop a load, since I don't have that many bullets that I actually pulled, I will just throw the 6-inch barrel on there, and using the powders that I use, we should get about an extra 50 feet per second or so. So we should be right up in there, close to like an Underwood type loading or something. So that's what's coming up next. We want to see how this bullet's going to hold up to the added velocities, and we also want to see, is my theory correct about where I think the velocity should be to get optimal performance. But maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's what we're here to find out. So let's get this going.
All right, this will be the standard length barrel. 1156, 1160, and 1152. All right, our low was 1152, our high was 1160, and our average was 1156. I'm only going to do 3 rounds from each barrel because these are reloads. I had to pull bullets to do this, so I don't have that many rounds. Looks like the velocity is coming in a little higher than I wanted. I am using load data for my 200 grain nozzlers, and the gold dot's a little bit longer bullet, so I probably could have came down 1/10 of a grain or so, maybe 2/10 of a grain, and got the velocities I get with my nozzlers. That said, this isn't too far out of the ballpark, so I'll be interested to see how this does.
All right, this will be from our factory 6-inch barrel. Had an error, so I'll give one more. There we go. All right, let's check it out. All right, our low was 1204. Our high was 1226, and our average was 1214. Okay, that's juiced up pretty good. So that should really stress the bullet about to the max. So it'll be interesting to see how this bullet holds together at that velocity. Okay, this will be the standard length barrel, Bear Jugs. So we'll see how this added velocity affects the performance of this round. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so obviously we destroyed our first 2 jugs. Third jug has, looks like we may have gotten into the 4th, and yes, we did. So we got into the 4th jug, and I actually feel a dent on the back of the 4th jug. This is actually the penetration I was hoping to get with the factory load. So let's go ahead and dig this bullet out and see how it held up. All right, so our round folded back significantly more. In fact, it looks like we're about at the breaking point. I don't think I'd want to drive this bullet any faster than this for close range work. So it'll be interesting to see how that 6-inch barrel stresses this. But you'll notice because it folded back more, we actually got a little deeper penetration. So our expansion's tighter. But I kind of wanted to see deeper penetration out of this round. That was kind of what I was looking for. So might could stand to come back off the velocity a little bit, back down to about 1,125 or so, 1,130 feet per second. But it looks like so far as penetration is concerned, I'm liking what I'm seeing. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the 4 layers of denim. We'll put the chronograph in front. The denim should keep the water from splashing back on it. I'm not chroning the bare shots because there's just too much chance of water getting into the chronograph. But let's go ahead and see how this performs through the 4 layers of denim. .111. We had a lower velocity on that one, but let's go check it out. Okay, so it looks like we punched to the back of jug 4 and we cracked 5 and almost entered it, but it is stuck, yeah, in jug 4. So let's get this out of here. And that looks really good for a heavy close shot. Yeah, that looks really good. We might go ahead and do this one more time since we had a lower velocity, but it is an interesting result because I think before we were a little overdriven. But we'll do this one maybe through the heavy clothing one more time and see about that higher velocity. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit this one more time just because that velocity was on the lower side, although not far off from where I would actually have liked to have seen these, but just out of curiosity, we'll go ahead and hit it one more and see what we get. 1129. Okay, it looks like we got to the back of jug 3. Feel a dent on 4, pretty good dent, but it didn't quite make it in. Let's take a look. And we got real wide full expansion, so that would probably explain the shallower penetration. Kind of interesting how the velocity is making a difference, even though it wouldn't seem like it's that much velocity difference. It is a noticeable difference in the amount of expansion. So let's go ahead and throw the 6-inch barrel on and see what happens when we stress this bullet to the max. All right, this will be the 6-inch barrel against the bare jugs. We should be stressing the bullet just about to the max. I'm pretty sure we're going to overdrive the round at this point, but it'll be interesting to see how it holds up though. All right, let's go check it out. Okay, so it looks like 3 and a dent on the back of jug 4, a dent on 5, but no entry in the 5. So let's go ahead and get this out of here. And yeah, we're starting to see the propeller-like expansion. You can actually see the jacket starting to strip off of this bonded bullet, which is pretty impressive. So I would say at this point, it looks like max you'll probably want to launch this bullet is around 1150 feet per second or so. Anything over that really looks like we're starting to overdrive it. Although, you know, maybe that doesn't bother too many people. So, but there you have it. All right, let's go ahead and try the bone test, the simulated bone test with the standard barrel to see if that extra velocity gives us some deeper penetration than we saw in the last video. All right, this will be our simulated bone test. If you haven't seen this before, we're going to take 4 layers of cotton t-shirt, drape it over this standard Aquafina bottle, and the idea is the shirt is not really a clothing barrier, but it's designed to delay expansion just a little bit, because typically bare water will over expand around compared to what you'll see in ordnance gel and whatnot. But anyway, it's to delay the expansion slightly, so we want to see expansion being initiated in our Aquafina bottle here. And then we're going to strike the board with the expanded bullet, and then we'll see how much penetration we can get after that. So pretty neat little setup. Been getting pretty consistent results, able to compare loadings. I don't know what it really represents, to tell you the truth, but it's kind of fun and interesting anyway. So let's go ahead and get this going. All right, we're just going to use the standard length barrel. Hopefully we're going to get about 1130 feet per second. That's really where I kind of like to see these, but we'll see what happens. We're going to run the Crony. The shirt should keep the water from splashing over it. 1179, so we got some pretty high velocity on that one. All right, let's check it out. All right, so expansion in our water bottle, put a good hit on the board, and 1, 2, 3. Exited out of 3, and looks like, let's see if we got in. Okay, good. So the round did enter jug 4. I thought it skipped out the side. Let's go ahead and get that out of there. All right. Actually looks pretty decent. Kind of some strange way that the pedals expanded there. Huh. Well, guess that's what happens when you smack a substantial object like that board. But pretty good penetration though. That's about on par with my nozzlers, and it was a little more than we got with the factory loading. We have enough material. We're going to go ahead and do one more because that registers some pretty high velocity. So I'd like to see something a little lower velocity to see how that comes in. But so far, not too bad. All right, we got just enough material to get one more shot in. So hopefully we'll get about 1130 feet per second or somewhere in that range, at least a lower velocity, something under 1150, because I'm kind of curious how this does in that intermediate range. .1125, perfect. All right, so expansion in our bottle. Put a fairly large hole in the board there. Wow. I'm expecting to see some decent expansion on that then, unless it compressed it back in the board, but it looks like we got some real good expansion. So 1, 2, 3. See the bullet at jug 3, it cracked the back of 3 and cracked the 4. So let's go ahead and get that out of there and see how it looks. Okay. Once again, we see some odd expansion with that pedal coming forward. I don't know what really caused that. Maybe the bullet is tumbling once it gets in there a little bit, destabilized. So I'm not sure, but definitely looks mangled up, but it held together well. Pedals are folded all the way back. Probably this odd expansion right here is what kept it from getting in the jug 4, I'm imagining. Because if that had peeled back against the shank, I think we would have got into 4. But not bad performance, pretty solid. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap this up and give some final thoughts. All right, guys, so wrap up on the 200 grain Speer Gold Dot 10 millimeter. The factory offering, while it didn't perform too badly, I really didn't see that much there that would make me, I just didn't see enough there to call it a 10 millimeter. I didn't see that much difference in performance from other service caliber handguns. So what did we see by increasing the velocity a little? Well, we got full expansion in heavy clothing. So you can see the actual gold dot at the bottom of the hollow cavity. That gives the bullet its name. With the factory loading, you can't see that because it didn't peel back far enough. So definitely the bullet, while it did fully expand, you could probably bank on a 50-yard shot or so. This bullet may not expand launched at the factory velocities, or at least it would grossly under expand. We still got good penetration, or decent penetration, with the higher velocities. We got more penetration with the bear test, which I was happy to see, and that probably came just because of the fact that I peeled the pedals back further. But I like to see a little deeper penetration. That's kind of the point of going with the heavier 200 grain bullet. As I said, our heavy clove test turned out okay. Our bone test looked really good overall. I have to say, we got into the 4th jug with the higher velocity loading, and we cracked the 4th jug with the mid-level velocity. But overall, I have to say that's pretty solid performance compared to the other loadings we had. Not the best performance so far, but solid performance. As you can see, when we drove the bullet to higher velocity with the 6-inch barrel in the bear portion, we overdrove the bullet. It looks like the jacket is starting to peel off. Still held together somewhat well, but definitely you could tell it shed a lot of weight. And yeah, you could just tell the jacket, it's getting on the edge of just coming apart. So personally, it looks like this bullet is best served up at about 1135-ish or so feet per second, give or take, you know, a little bit. I wouldn't really go over 1150. I don't really see enough difference in performance really justified, especially when you start getting into the fact that you're starting to get to overdriving the bullet. That said, I don't know why the Speer loading is coming in at the velocities it is. At SHOT Show, they told me when they tested this, it was around 1130 feet per second, which, lo and behold, that does seem to be like a pretty solid velocity for it. However, the factory loading that actually got out on the shelves appears to be coming up short, and I'm not sure why that is. I really wish Speer would go ahead and get this up to where it should be. Another note, too, we couldn't increase the velocity with the 6-inch barrel with the Speer, whatever powder Speer was using. which is kind of odd actually. And there was also noticeable amount of felt recoil at the Spear factory loading in comparison to these hand loads. Even though these were driven much quicker, the Spear loading seemed like it recoiled just as much, if not harder. It probably has to do with slide velocity, however they're doing that pressure curve with that powder. Just something I noticed. My hand loads actually felt a little bit more of a push than a jab. So something else to note there. Again, I don't know why Spear's underloading this or why it came out at the velocities coming out. It really needs to get up to about 1130. An honest average of 1130 or 35-ish. Somewhere up in there would probably suit this best. Hopefully they'll offer this as reloading components, because this probably is a loading that I would probably reload and use. But I was really hoping for something like this from the factory, and we were so close, but not quite there. Interesting point, the impact velocities of the factory loading is about the same as our hand loadings here at 50 yards. So the performance you see from the factory loading is probably what you'll see out of these hand loadings at about 50 yards away from the standard length barrel. So that's another interesting thing to note, and another thing to think about with the 10mm is the fact that it is more of a field cartridge, and you could expect to be able to shoot longer distances with it. Downrange performance is something to think about, and that is a case sometimes for the higher velocities. All right, guys, if you like this kind of content and you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe, share the video. It helps the channel out. As always, comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do you think I got all this wrong? I appreciate those comments, guys, but please keep those comments professional, and I'll see you guys next time.